I'm Chris Scher, Communications Director of the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Welcome to the February SBE WEBxtra, the SBE chapter of the web. This is a monthly SBE meeting usually held on the third Monday of the month. The SBE is the Association for Broadcast and Multimedia Technology Professionals with more than 4,000 members, mostly in the U.S., but also around the world. The SBE is often described as having three primary functions: certification, member services, and education. On today's SBE WEBxtra, we'll take a deep look into one of the SBE's popular educational offerings, the SBE Ennes Workshop, and in particular, the upcoming two-track SBE Ennes Workshop at the 2026 NAB Show in April. The SBE Ennes Workshop at the NAB Show has a long history, and the workshop is considered a highlight of the technical sessions. Today, I'll talk with SBE Education Committee Chair Geary Morrill about Ennes Workshops, and Fred Willard and Jeff Welton, two of the session organizers for the two tracks. But first, I have the SBE member update for February 16, 2026. Once again, plenty of upcoming webinars by SBE are on the calendar. Part 3 of the Building the Broadcast IP Content Network series will stream on February 26, and it covers video over IP. Wayne Pacina will take an in-depth look at VoIP, focusing on the industry SMPTE 2110 standard. Part 4 of the series, Architecture and Integration, streams on March 2nd. Wayne applies the fundamentals and concepts previously presented with a focus on network architecture and integration of AOIP and ST2110, broadcast content in IP-based networks for production, radio, and TV stations. And you can always access the entire library of webinars by SBE presentations on demand. For information on these and all the webinars by SBE, go to sbe.org/webinars. The next certification exam opportunity is in April at the NAB Show. Apply for that exam by March 9. The next chapter exam window after that is in June. Apply to take an exam at that time by April 13. If you don't want to wait, or if a local chapter exam is not convenient for you or just not practical, private proctoring is available. Contact the SBE National Office for more. 2025 marked the 50th anniversary of SBE certification. To recognize the occasion, the SBE program of certification is challenging you to upgrade or obtain your certification through November 2026. Take the CERT challenge, and you will not only further your professional standing, you could win a great prize. The SBE also encourages chapters to hold a meeting to discuss the benefits of SBE certification. This is called CERT Connect, and you can get all the details on both at sbe.org/CERTConnect. More information on SBE certification itself is online at sbe.org/certification. The SBE membership year runs April through March. Your renewal is due by April 1st. Most members renew online, and that option is available at any time. In January, most members received an email reminding them to renew. If we don't have an email address on file for you, you'll get a postcard reminder. There's no need to wait for the reminder. You can renew at any time on the SBE website. You can pay with a credit card through our secure online payment system. And if you want to pay by check or need to submit an invoice, you can download the renewal form on the renewal page. And that's your SBE member update for February 16, 2026. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, the SBE will present an SBE Ennes Workshop at the 2026 NAB Show on April 22nd and 23rd. This is at the end of the convention, which is a change from previous years. It's because there's another major event being held in Las Vegas the opening weekend of the convention. Make sure to remember that when you make your convention arrangements. I'll talk to three people involved in planning the two tracks for the two-day workshop. Jeff Welton is organizing the track called From Signals to Success, RF101 Gets You There. And Fred Willard is co-organizing the Emerging Technology track with Dave Bialik. Before we start, I should answer a common question. Why are they called Ennes Workshops? And who is Ennes? That would be Harold Ennes, who has a special place in SBE history. This will tell you more about him. Well, now that you've met Harold Ennes, let's start with Geary Morrill, who is the SBE Vice President and Chair of the SBE Education Committee. Welcome to the SBE WEBxtra, Geary. How are you?
I'm doing very excellent, Chris, and excited that we're talking about probably one of the biggest events that we do from an educational standpoint annually. And that, of course, is our 2026 NAB Ennes work sessions. You know, we've done this now, well, at least I've been involved with it for the last 3-4 years. We typically have one track that we do every year, and that, of course, is our RF101. And then, of course, we have a new track this year, like we do every year. We try to have something new for our attendees, and the emerging technologies track is track number 2. So we're excited about that. A lot of people don't realize, and they keep saying, well, why don't you update RF101 annually? And we actually do some minor enhancements every year. But when people realize that the reason why we even run this particular track is because we have new people that are coming into our profession every year, quite frankly, their needs, if they don't have an understanding of the RF side of our business, those needs really don't change a whole lot from year to year. So I've had on several occasions talking with folks going, well, I was thinking about attending it again this year. And I said, did you not get it last year? And I don't mean that in a negative way, but you're going to get what you get. And quite frankly, when you look at the instructors that we've got on both sides of the both tracks that we have, I'm pretty impressed. And sometimes people will ask us, well, why don't you put this on the road? And can you make it 3 days? And can you make it 1 day? And the reason that we're able to keep the price point where we do, which quite frankly, if you've compared it with other factory positions and stuff, we're a fraction of what they charge if you want to go someplace and get this information elsewhere. It's because we do it at the NAB. And these high quality presenters that we have are already there. So we're able to snag them for a brief period of time and get them to be involved. So that's what we're all about. And I know that we're going to have information coming up here very shortly. So we'll get in a little more depth on what these 2 tracks involve. I'm looking forward to hearing from Jeff. I'm looking forward to hearing from Dave Bialik and Fred Willard as well. But I would welcome folks to see what we've got here and compare the value for what it's going to cost you. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Excellent. So let's back up a little bit. And SBE Ennes workshops in general. Granted, what we do at the NAB show is a little different than what we would do partnering, say, with a chapter or a state broadcast association. But in general, tell me about SBE Ennes workshops, what they are, and what can someone expect by attending one?
Okay, let's start for why we even do them and how they start to begin with. Typically, a chapter or maybe a couple chapters, or perhaps a state broadcast association, which we, of course, now have many more of them as sustaining members of the SBE. They would like to be able to present something a little bit beyond the typical chapter meeting to a group of individuals. And a lot of times it will be at perhaps the State Broadcast Association's engineering event, or maybe it's just something that the chapter pulls together and does in replacement for a typical meeting. So what happens is we have a process. It's available on the website to get the information. Okay, you can see this information, and what you do is you put in a request with our education director, Kathy Oros, and you explain you would like to have an session. She gets back and talks with you about, okay, what types of things would you like to have covered? And then she does a yeoman's job of being able to bring in the presenters that you're looking for that maybe you don't have contact with directly, But because we do, we can help bring in a program that is basically put together for you, and all you need to do is provide a location, some of the logistics, cover the folks that are coming in. Kathy will typically come. We'll also have somebody that comes in and facilitates the session. So there's a little bit of expense there, but it's designed so that we can bring in some meaty topics, some timely topics, or something that your chapter or your state association is desperately looking for to get the information. We become that education resource that can put it in front of your attendees. So
Great.
that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. So you touched on the major difference sort of between a chapter level versus NAB at the top. We have the advantage that the NAB show has the facilities, and in this case, a lot of the presenters are there anyway. So we've used some economies available to us to make it much more affordable. But tell me about the presenters. What's the typical subject matter expert we get to present any kind of a program at an Ennes workshop?
Okay. Typically what we try to do is avoid sales oriented presentations. Okay.
Hmm.
That's a given, because just between thee and me, you can get all kinds of folks that would like to come in and give you a pitch.
Sure.
We're looking to bring information without the call to action to purchase a product or service, okay? And so we have access to folks that typically may be they may be professional PEs, they may be professional educators. Wayne Pacina is a great example, and he has
Mhm.
been just a wealth of information for people on the IT side of things,
Sure.
talking about implementation and security guidelines and the like. And a lot of what we do and a lot of what we have available in on-demand webinars, Wayne has helped put together in that particular category. But here is an opportunity where if Wayne comes in to do a session, he can have an interaction with the attendees, and you can ask specific questions, which if you're coming back after the fact and taking a look at an on-demand webinar, you may have a question and it may not get answered
Sure.
exactly the way you're looking for. So this is that opportunity to really interact with these folks and to ask the question that's burning in the back of your mind and get actionable information that you can deal with today to
Mhm.
make things better for your operation.
Yeah. That's great. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we've got a 2 days. Something a little different about those 2 days versus the convention this year, and that
They
would be.
they are. And this is the one. Let me just put up the flag right now and say, listen, if you're planning on coming on Friday and Saturday, you're going to be sorely disappointed if you want to come to an Ennis session. We're actually going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday. And there's actually a good reason for that. You may not find it to be good, but I assure you it's a good reason. And that is there's a WWE event coming in on the weekend that we typically do this just before NAB. And what NAB was telling us was they expect that pricing on housing and just everything that you buy, meals, everything else, is probably going to go up because you got all these tens of thousands of people that are coming in to watch people smack each other and break chairs across each other's heads and stuff. So we're avoiding that. And they asked us to come in and make that happen for them on Tuesday and Wednesday. We agreed to it because it's been a partnership that we've done over the years with the NAB folks. And we're actually, if you do come in early, and I'm not saying you want to, but if you do, we do have an opportunity for you on Saturday, and that is a special session that's going to talk about unique and particular technical requirements for live sports production. This
Okay.
is a session that will be happening the first day of the BEIT conference. We're providing the presenter, we're providing the details and stuff. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail other than to tell you, if you're doing anything in sports production and you want to talk to somebody that lives it and has lived it for years, you are going to be pleased at what you see there during that session. So we had to make the arrangements. We moved later. Um, if you're looking and it's a budgetary concern for you, you can probably compress your attendance this year. We will have our typical thing on with the membership meeting on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday with our Ennis sessions, and we provide some light breakfast, if you will, in the morning.
Mhm.
Okay. There is a lunch voucher that's involved as well. So we're going to cover 2 out of your 3 meals for both of those 2 days. And we don't know what this is going to be like this year as far as for attendance and stuff. So to help leverage that, we've put together an awesome program that I don't think you're going to want to miss. And if you have folks in your organization that need the information about RF101, then come on in. I guarantee you they're going to get fed. It may feel like a fire hose at time, but they will give you resources that you can learn more about. We can't teach you everything you need to know in 2 days, but we can show you what you need to be aware of and how to get the details on that so you can get more information.
All right. Just step back. The sports production session part of the BEITC, that's what day? And is that a morning?
That's a Saturday afternoon. I
Oh, okay.
believe it's 3:30. It's in the
Okay.
schedule, and that's going to be late in the day on Saturday. So if you're
Okay.
coming in early, you'll be able to make that session.
Great.
And but if you're coming, if you're wanting to do Ennis and you're coming in on a Friday, you're going to have a lot of free time on your hands because we ain't there.
Right. And it's on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's a full day, 8 to 5.
That's
Um,
absolutely correct.
so even though the convention floor, the exhibit floor closes Wednesday afternoon around 2 o'clock, the Ennis workshop will still be going on. So just plan accordingly and
Yeah,
um, get your show floor stops in early, and then you'll have all the time to spend in the
yeah.
workshop.
And this is going to be, we're not over in the West Hall. Everybody
Hmm.
needs to be aware of that. We're in North Hall on second floor,
Hmm.
and our booth is down on the main floor, outside in the main entrance there in the North Hall. And this is something, if you're not aware of it yet, all of the broadcast oriented vendors are going to be in the central hall, which is right adjacent to north.
Sure.
So if you're really focused on broadcast, you're probably not going to need to go to West Hall. So that's going to save you probably a half an hour trip in each
Mhm.
direction.
Yeah, well, the time is short and valuable. It always seems like we have a lot of time, but before you know it, the day is over, and then the week is over, and you think about what you didn't get to, and have to kind of kick yourself and think, well, I'll have to plan better next year. So plan ahead.
Absolutely.
It's always the important step.
So plan if you haven't already booked your flight, don't plan to leave until Thursday,
Sure.
because we go until 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And if you come in on a Sunday or if you come in on a Saturday because you want to go to NUG, okay, and those who know what NUG is, they know that. Uh, you can make it a pretty decent and awesome show.
Right.
Just coming in on Saturday, maybe Saturday late, and getting out on Thursday.
Cool.
That's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
So registration for the SBE Ennes Workshop. How's that work?
You go right to the NAB site. It's one of the options that are available, and I suspect we have a link on the website that'll help you get there. And if you register now before the end of February, there is a slight discount that's available to you, and the code is there. It's SBE Early Bird, and I know you can spell early bird, so I'm not going to spell it out for you. But if you take SBE Early Bird and enter that, we'll take a little bit off that reservation for you. And you also have the opportunity to get a discount if you're buying the full package. from NAB. And if not, your registration includes a floor pass so you can get to all the vendors that you want to see.
Great.
So it's a great opportunity. I'm
Very
looking
good.
forward to it again, once again.
Well, we've had good success these last 3 years past with the 2-day, 2-track session. Um, and I know we'll get into this with Fred and Jeff in a bit. It's funny. I mean, I've talked to Jeff Welton about the RF101 in the past, and he says, that's one thing about RF. It hasn't really changed. I mean, the physics is physics, right?
That's right.
Um, yeah, there's implementation changes, ATSC and HD radio and some other things, as well as differences in distribution and some licensing issues and things. But the core basics are still the root of the RF101 track.
Yep.
So
And it's
that's
not just the transmitters that there's going to be some conversation about grounding, lightning
mhm,
protection, HVAC, because today's solid state transmitters don't really like things to be really warm or really cold.
yeah,
So it's a comprehensive presentation. Don't don't think that we're just going to breeze through everything. You are going to get a lot of meat. Your folks are going to come back if you're sending somebody to this event, they're going to come back and they will know a lot of things, but they're also going to have a lot of questions, which is great. Once people start asking questions, now learning can take place.
sure, sure. And then just to give Fred and Dave a little equal time on the emerging technology side, the previous 3 years had the same general title, and this year I'm not giving too much away, but I'm told that it's predominantly all new material, a
It
very
is.
high percentage. So
And
Fred
and
will get
and
into some
whether
of that.
people realize that or not, Chris, it actually has changed every year.
Yeah,
But because we had people questioning it, we said, okay, let's change the name of that track to better reflect
hmm
what we're doing. So if you're implementing stuff on ATSC3 or you're adding some non-broadcast OTT to your radio program or thing like that,
hmm
you are going to get your cup full
yeah,
because we're talking about the people that aren't dealing with it from a theoretical standpoint. These are hands-on people making what you're trying to do happen, and they will show you where you can avoid challenges and make it happy and make your management team think that you are just a wizard.
well, we are. We're all wizards, right?
It's all magic, my friend.
So is there anything else on this that we haven't touched on that you want to include and let everybody know?
I can't think of it other than to say, come on out on Monday because if you come to the membership meeting, we're going to have all kinds of cool free stuff there, including a couple cameras that
hmm
if you're doing expansion into things and need to have a good quality camera, oh, I think you're going to be very, very happy.
Cool.
So don't miss it.
All right. Well, as always, good to talk to you, my friend. And I'll be seeing you out in Las Vegas in April, and probably seeing you on the call sooner than that, but nonetheless.
Yes, come to Lost Wages Nirvana.
Great. Thanks for joining me on the SBE Webxtra today.
Have a great one, Chris. Talk to you later.
So, hi, Jeff. Welcome to the SBE Webxtra. How are you?
I'm well, Chris. How are you doing?
Good. Good to see you once again, my friend.
It's an exciting
So
times.
you're responsible for half of our 2-track SBE Ennes Workshop happenings at the NAB show this year. You're covering the RF side, the RF101 elements. You've done this for a couple of years now, just the fourth year, I think, if I remember right.
I believe so. Yeah,
Sounds
might
about
be the
right.
third, but third or fourth in that range.
Okay. So let's kind of cover some of the basics here. In preparing for these sessions, these two-day long sessions, what's your educational goal in preparing the session track? What do you hope that attendees are going to learn?
So without taking you all the way back to the birth of the planet, the initial, I guess the thing that started all this was an article Mark Persons wrote several years ago about a lot of new engineers he was encountering that didn't know Ohm's law. And more, we're seeing a lot more engineers coming into radio and television from IT or from early stages where they don't have a lot of RF experience or Ohm's law as far as that goes. So the goal was to provide a basic foundation. I like to tell people that my job isn't to teach you what you need to know, it's to show you what you don't know so you know where to go to learn.
Gotcha.
And so we do start with Ohm's law and we go all the way to the top of the microwave. And everything from basically DC to daylight, we give a rudimentary background on the whole process, AM, FM, tuning units, the whole deal. So it's pretty in depth. It's a good refresher for experienced folks and a good starter for people coming in, especially from IT or non-communications backgrounds who may be a little less experienced with what volts and current are and what they do.
Gotcha. So as I noted at the top, we the SBE have been presenting something along the RF101 side of things for a number of years. Is there anything that differentiates this year from previous year's offerings?
There are always tweaks. I mean, I like to joke that I've got the simple track of the two because emerging technologies, well, obviously there are always new things emerging. The ability to turn AC into RF has been fairly consistent for decades. So, our technology doesn't change a lot. We do adapt to cover, new things like HD radio. We do adapt to cover various transmitter technologies because those are evolving. And I do on occasion, like there'll be new programs here and there as different people come to me and say it'd be cool to learn more about this or that.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, this year there will be a little more antenna theory than there has been in previous years. We've always had some practical, but having a little more theory in there, I think will be a good thing.
Gotcha. Well, it's sort of answered my next question of how you go about preparing the call it the syllabus, the plan, the program for some of these individual presentations. Your presenters are experts in their fields. You want to highlight any of them in particular that you're looking forward to working with this year, either again or some new talent?
I mean, I look forward to working with all of them. One of the guys coming back who's I get him to train every time I can is Greg Buchwald from Motorola. He's in the process of retiring. I hope that's public knowledge. I believe it is. But Greg is an excellent resource when it comes to teaching because he's got a way of, I like to joke that he's got a way of explaining complex stuff in a way that I can understand. Carl Lahm does an excellent job of teaching antenna theory. So he's going to talk to that. And he's very passionate about safety, which is we get fewer engineers working longer hours is becoming a bigger concern. So yeah, there's new wise, there's one or two new ones, but I don't want to spoil it yet, partly because it's an evolving process right up almost till the very last day. So one or two people I want to present haven't given me 100% commitment yet, and I don't want to put them on the spot. But yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Very good. Very good. I had a question and I just kind of lost my train of thought there. Give me a little insight. Somebody considering attending this track, what does that individual look like? Where is he or she in his or her career as far as knowledge and experience goes?
Well, as I said earlier, it's not a bad refresher for somebody who's been doing this for a lot of years. I mean, a lot of the older engineers have got very little formal training, if any. A lot of us just stumbled into this job by virtue of the fact you happened to be there one day and made something work. And the next thing you know, your job is to make everything work. And so you learn what you can as you go. So it's useful for that. The original concept was based on a one-day training course I built in Michigan in 2018, I think.
Mm.
And it was basically designed to be sort of a microphone to the top of the tower overview of the facility,
Okay.
geared toward people that might have a really good IT knowledge, but not a lot of RF and audio based knowledge.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my core focus on it. But I've had people who come in and been doing this for years and say that they thought it was a good refresher. So, that was an unintended bonus, I guess.
Cool. And it's not just radio, it's radio and television. Yes.
It's RF in general, yeah. And I
Gotcha.
mean, we even talk microwave to an
Sure.
extent. STLs, there are still folks doing old Marty shots and stuff like that. So a little bit of everything. Last year we did cover a little bit of IP radio, but that's really not our focus. That's more the emerging technology side.
Mm-hmm.
So we try not to duplicate content too much between the two sessions.
Very good. I mean, last year we had a really good crowd, I thought, on attendance. Last year was in the West Hall. This year we're back to the North Hall meeting rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at I've forgotten the actual room number off the top of my head, but it's always subject to change. So who knows, right?
I will find about it the day I look it up on my NAB show as I'm trying to walk to my sessions.
Those second floor meeting rooms there in the North Hall.
Yeah.
Any sessions, any presentations you're looking at that you think will go beyond, let's say, sort of the standard classroom setup? Maybe a little more laboratory-like in some way?
So as one example, and I mentioned him early, Steve Wilde from AAT, American Amplifier Technologies. They build transmitters, filters, combiners, stuff like that. He last year did a very in-depth practical demonstration of filter tuning and sweeping. And I've got him on the syllabus again this year. I would expect something the same. I joked with him because last year he had to run to another session and left it up to me to haul his filter back to his booth, and that thing weighed over 100 pounds. So I did allow that if
no
he's
dummy, he knew exactly what he was doing.
I said if he's doing that again this year, he better get somebody else to carry the filter. I'm getting too old for that stuff.
What a nice guy.
But yeah, so we do. I mean, it's a little harder in that we're in Vegas. We're all coming in from all over. It's harder to bring physical equipment in, but we do try to put some hands on when we can.
Sure. And I've forgotten who it was last year. I think pulled out a spectrum analyzer for a certain portion too.
That was Steve. Yep.
It was Steve. Okay. I thought there was another presenter that whether it might have been Carl or
no, sorry. I had
Greg.
Last year we had Eddie I'm going to mess up his last name. Thank you so much, from the Sorcerer.
That's right.
He had some test equipment there.
Yeah, that was right. That was right.
He was doing a sweep of the TV spectrum with an analyzer.
Excellent. So very visual as well. Not just a day of droning on.
Right. Well, and
topics.
I tell people the one thing, and I've had this discussion with my presenters before. I said the last thing I want is for somebody to put up a slide deck and then stand there and read it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working on the assumption that pretty much everybody in the audience will be able to read. So yeah, we don't do that. My running joke is for the one session I assigned to myself, the slide deck is only there so you don't have to look at me.
Because you have a face for radio, right?
And a voice for
like a lot of us. Well, cool. Any other presenters or topics you want to touch on and preview in any way?
I mean, there are going to be a few changes. We are doing on day 2, almost the first half of the day will be joint sessions with the emerging technologies track. There are a lot of things that are, of interest to both sides of the fence, if you will, studio versus transmitter site. So that's going to be kind of cool. I have typically, and I plan on doing it again this year, put a session in for, I call it learning how to speak manager. One of the big problems that engineers typically face is they're used to speaking watts, ohms, volts, or IP addresses, depending on their background. management's used to speaking ROI on budget, and is this a cost or an investment? So learning the different languages and how to interface with each other helps a lot. And last year we had a pretty good panel on that. I'm hoping to duplicate that.
Cool. Yeah, it's a good point. So the day two, the Wednesday, is a joint session between the two different tracks. And of course, Fred Willard's telling us all about that on his segment of the WEBxtra as well.
Right, and
So
Fred
yeah,
and David
looking
did
forward to that.
spearhead a lot of that, so I'm going to let them cover the content of that section.
Do you recommend any preparation for attendees before they come in? Anything they might want to think about, consider, perhaps brush up on, or are we going to start at a basic enough level that whether you're a seasoned pro or you can maybe identify an antenna on site? I realize there's going to be a range of knowledge in the room, but what's your insight on that?
The goal is to start almost at entry level. There will
Okay.
be a lot of things like E field and H field and planar rotation that a lot of folks aren't going to understand. And again, that's perfectly acceptable. Like I said, the big thing for me, my takeaway is that you go in there, and if there's something you don't understand that you think you'd like to know more about, then you've got the ability at that point to write down a few keywords so you know what to start searching for. The biggest challenge I think I found when I started in this industry over 3 decades, almost four ago, was that it's hard to learn what you don't know when you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And, so this was one of the bigger, I guess, thoughts I had behind it was to kind of illustrate to folks, hey, here's something you don't know much about. Maybe this is something that'd be worth learning about. At that point, I mean, if you look at the SBE archives, there are 100 different webinars in there, various books in the bookstore, always with the mentor program. At least at this point, once you know you don't know about something, then you can ask a question about it with your mentor as well. So it's a way of highlighting the areas where you may want to expand your education or just learn some more about something for interest.
Absolutely. Anything else about the RF101 track that you'd like to mention that maybe I haven't touched on at this point?
People aren't going to have to listen to me speak for the whole day. No, I mean, it's like I said, it's pretty wide. There are probably going to be a session or two here or there that doesn't interest everybody, but there's going to be a pile of sessions that do. And if your background is heavily into IT and you've always been a little, I guess, tentative about going to the transmitter site, this is something that can help give you the comfort factor. And again, not necessarily, I'm not going to tell you how to retube a 317 or how to replace the plate blocker on an HT35.
Mm-hmm.
I think an HT35 is a plate blocker. To be honest, I don't know either. Yeah, but the goal is to give you the structure you need to at least know what you've got to learn before you do go do those things.
Right. And hopefully open some eyes to the broader depths, the deeper depths of that mysterious realm of RF for some of us. So
I left my phone upstairs, but I've seen a couple people doing the Chat GPT, take what you know about me and create a caricature. And so the one that it did for me was transmitter whisperer and a picture of a guy holding, oddly enough, the wrong end of the soldering iron.
of course.
And there is, as expected, smoke rising up.
Well, that's good.
What's that smell? Oh, it's me. But
what smells like chicken?
That'd be a prime example, though, of one of the things we do teach is that your nose is one of your best troubleshooting tools.
Yeah.
If you walk into a site that you're fairly familiar with, you can tell pretty quickly if things smell different. And I'm here to tell you that a snake across a power transformer has an odor. So, that kind of stuff that you don't necessarily think about, but people that have been there and done that for a while will say is, almost a required knowledge.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, and this is the February Webxtra, so it's the NAB show is about 2 months away, and we've mentioned it before, but the big change this year is that the Ennes Workshop is at the end of the convention, not starting just before. So hopefully, as people plan to attend, they'll make sure they're booking their travel to stick around the Tuesday and Wednesday and not
Right.
depart early, as some people
Well,
like to do. So if you
and
do,
the
you'll
other
miss out.
thing to be aware of is that the Wednesday sessions do extend past show floor closing. So we
Right.
do go right till 5 p.m. on Wednesday.
Exactly. Very good. Well, thanks for the overview, Jeff. Always appreciate it. And looking forward to a good crowd at the two tracks of our SBE Ennes Workshop this year.
My pleasure, Chris, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thanks. So, hi, Fred. Welcome to the SBE Webxtra. Good to see you again.
And good to see you again, Chris.
All right. So, one of the two tracks of the SBE Ennes Workshop at the 2026 NAB Show is Emerging Technology. Start off and let's tell us a little bit about what that means and what you plan to cover.
Well, we're going to cover as much as we can in 2 days. And what do we cover? Well, media technology, as much as we can in 2 days, and everything except RF. So the hardest thing is to pare it down to 2 days. There's so much that can be covered. And we're even going to have a couple of sessions that are RF related, HD radio, and the latest on ATSC 3.0 next gen TV. So we'll even cover a little bit of RF.
Okay.
And we're even going to combine with the RF101 track on the ATSC. We're going to be talking about what people in the industry actually have to do hands-on. A lot of us have to deal with security, so we're going to have a session on personal security, and we're going to do a session on everything HVAC, keeping your plant cool, because believe it or not, if you're working in this industry, that's something that almost all of us has to deal with, and we've never done a session on that. So
Sure.
we're going to have an expert in on what's specific about cooling for media facilities.
Okay.
It's very critical, obviously. We're a little more hands-on this time. We've done a lot of theory in the past, like 2110, IPMX, NMOS. This year, we're going to get a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more practical. A session about what an actual chief engineer might have to deal with day to day. We made this track based on David and I. We both worked on it, David Bialik and I, on what we do day to day. So we learn from this too. I'm actually an RF guy. That's what I do. That's how I make my living. So a lot of this is learning for me too. So we picked tracks that help us learn too.
So in putting this together, did you have an educational goal in what you're trying to accomplish in the end? What somebody would walk away with?
First of all, we want it to be fresh and up to date, but also practical at the same time. So we're looking at people that run facilities as opposed to managers, people that run facilities that would like to be in project management or station management or facility management. People that come to Ennis are typically a little more ambitious than your typical engineer, because you have to get to NAB in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pretty sure what our audience is, but we're always open to feedback too. So
Certainly.
Please contact us anytime on if you think this is something you'd like. I think it's a lot more practical this year, and I'm hoping for a bigger turnout.
Certainly. So you mentioned keeping it fresh. The previous couple of years or so, we've presented a media over IP themed track. This year's title is a little different, but maybe has some similarities. What do you expect to be different about these sessions from previous years? So why should someone come back?
90% of the material is new. That's a good reason. What in media now, as opposed to several years ago, is not IP. So that kind of limited us. Almost everything's IP now, or heading that way.
Mhm.
There's less hardware and more server-based, more cloud-based. 2 sessions are going to be about media in the cloud. We have a session on AI, and cloud and AI are going to be interweaved into all of the sessions because that's where the industry is going. This one's a little more business oriented because as engineers, we really have to watch the bottom line of the companies we're working for. A lot of the facilities now that are going to IP are overbuilding on existing plants. So we've covered greenfield and clean slate and start from scratch plants in the past couple of years. And this year, we're going to get a little more into what we call hybrid facilities, which means you're making islands of IP in your existing plant. Because not everybody either has the budget or the size or the scope to throw everything away and start all over with IP. So several sessions on hybrid, troubleshooting of hybrid facilities, troubleshooting between the timing references of, say, an SDI plant based on blackburst and an IP plant based on PTP, and what problems can happen when you overlay one on top of the other.
Sure.
We're trying to keep to the latest business trends too. There's a lot more right sizing, as we call it, or dynamic media facilities. That's kind of the buzzword this year. Into the compatibility between systems. Convergence, that's another big buzzword. In fact, the NAB coined that, and one of our sessions, in fact, the first one is on convergence. What is proper for a business? Do you go, you start from scratch, or do you go some cloud? Do you go some AI? And really, each business is separate, and that's the point of some of these sessions. Design your system based on your business needs.
So let's peek behind the scenes a little bit. You mentioned trimming the presentations can be a bit of a challenge to make it fit into the 2 days that we have. What's your process? How do you come up with topics in the first place? And then how do you go about identifying presenters to present on those topics?
Like I said, I kind of base it on what I have to deal with every day. I'm a market chief, and what subjects are interesting to me, because if they're interesting to me, they'll probably be interesting to you, and what I have to deal with and what I need to know more about. So, and of course, I listen to other people too, and Dave and I brainstorm for a couple months, and we can't cover everything. So we just pick what we can fit, and next year we'll cover other things, and we'll cover different things this year than we covered last year.
Sure.
It's like it's an assortment, box of chocolates,
Something for everybody in there. That's right.
But that's the hope. Yeah. If there are a couple of sessions that are boring to you, I think a lot of them won't be and will be interesting. Sure. It's not all audio. It's not all video. It's a mix. A lot of facilities are combining now. A lot of TV stations are doing radio, and a lot of radio stations are doing streaming. That's the convergence.
Gotcha. So tell me about some of the presenters and some of the topics in specific. Obviously, the entire rundown is available on the SBE website. It's also, right. We're posting it with the NAB Show site. But let's have a sampling of that box of chocolates. See what's in there.
Well, we do kind of what I call blocks of the same subject. So we're going to start with the dynamic media facilities and convergence with Cindy Zulsdorf and Brad Gilmer of AMWA and Alan Frater from Ross. And then after we have these 3 sessions, then we have a panel for 15 minutes. If you need a bathroom break or you need to go check your cell phone, do that. But if you have questions, bring a pad of paper, write down your questions during the sessions, and then we'll have a discussion, and you'll get to meet the people. And that's the good thing about Ennes, is that you actually meet the people in person. There's there's a big advantage to coming in person. If you're out
Sure.
there already, really, it's worth your while to meet the people that write these standards and do this for a living. You know, specialists. We have specialists. I'm a generalist, and most of us now in media are. We have to know a little bit about a lot of things, and these people know a lot about what they know about. So take advantage of it. We're going to have a big session on an area that is rarely covered, but is really important. That's dialogue, intelligibility, and loudness. There's nothing really that affects your viewership more than quality and high perception of sound. So many programs now, you'll see captions in the background. Why is that? Because, you know, with these 5.1 and immersive sound systems and multi-channel, often the dialogue is not understood. And boy, that affects your bottom line and your viewership. So we're going to have a whole session of the people that wrote a new paper from AES describing how to increase intelligibility, control loudness. In fact, a new law was just passed in California this year, and that was authored by some of the people in AES, and those people are going to be having a discussion about it, and you can join in. And that's our second block. We have an HD radio update, as I said, with Dave Colasar, who's local here in DC. He's the chief engineer for the highest billing radio station in the nation. He's done a lot of experimental work. He's a real hands-on guy. He's kind of the leader in AM digital, if you're interested in that. And there have been a lot of law changes in HD radio and a lot of consolidation on the equipment. It's a lot easier to do now, but there are some things that are different about it, and we'll be able to talk to him on that. Let's see. We're going to do a session on how to get your signal in and out of your facility. I don't think we've done anything like that because there's been a lot of changes in the types of circuits you can get. You can move a lot more data, a lot cheaper. You can software define and build your own network now. That wasn't possible. So Dan Merwin, who I think has given some sessions here in SBE. He's kind of an expert. That's what he does for a living. He's going to tell us more about getting signals in and out. You know, your STL, your RPU, different ways of doing it. Starlink, 5.8 unlicensed. So we're going to look at all different ways of getting your signal in and out. Again, these are things that are really practical to the average tech or engineer in a facility.
Sure.
As I said, there's a business slant to it too. So we're going to cover programmatic, which, you know, that's where ads drop in automatically through AI. We have CJ Leonard from FanServe coming in. We're going to talk about fast channels, and that's a real surprise in the industry. Nobody thought that fast channels is free over-the-air ad-supported television, and it's really taken off. A lot of us are surprised. So that's a business slant. HDR in sports is actually, you know, it's been around for a while, but it's now taking off as a real thing. From glass to glass, there's a lot of metadata and throughput required to make that happen. And SMPTE's been working on standards. We're going to have John Mayotte. He comes every year. He's like the father of digital video. So
Sure.
He's a great guy to talk about this. You know, he's an expert on many subjects, but we're just going to do HDR. Kyle Seuss is going to talk about what AI can do for you in media. He's local here in our DC market. He formed a company, Amira Labs, that works on translating languages and taking captions to languages, etc., in an AI function, because there's so much labor involved in audio now that AI can really help you. And we're going to talk about hybrid facilities, as I said, with Ryan Morris and Steve Holmes. Steve is presented. He's a great expert in keeping these systems working and keeping throughput. There's a lot more to IP, and it's a totally different mindset. You have to really think about it in a different way. It's not point to point anymore. It's everything to everything.
You mentioned a combined session with the RF101 track. Those sessions are you touched on them a little bit, but tell me a little bit about more. Tell me a little more about that block of presentations.
Yeah, that's going to be Wednesday morning, and as I said, the RF101 track will come together, and it's the HVAC because that pertains to all facilities, transmitters especially, but
Mhm.
server rooms, and I don't think anybody's done a session on that. So uh, we're going to talk about security. As much as we don't want it to be that way, there's a lot more protection required for employees now because of the political climate and what's going on. So Steve Schultes and Claudia Haas from Secure Point are going to just talk about not just protection for the talent, but for the engineers and the techs that are running the facilities and running the productions out in the field
Sure.
and of course, a lot has happened with ATSC 3.0. Brazil is now leading us in the movement forward of ATSC 3. That's a much bigger market than ours, and they've adopted 3.0. And since NAB 2025, a lot of information there. Luis Fausto is now the standards development guy from Brazil, and he's part of ATSC 3. So we're going to bring him in along with Madeline, and then we'll have a panel with RF101, and we can discuss all of those subjects.
Sure. Very good. You touched on something near the top here of our discussion about attending a session like this, a workshop like this, in person as opposed to online. Obviously, when you're doing it virtually, it's very easy to get distracted and turn your attention away to something else that's happening and not necessarily what's being presented. Whereas inside the room, something of a captive audience. So you should have more undivided attention. I think that's an important point to make that some people may say, oh, I can just do this online. Well, you can, but you'll probably agree with me to say you probably get more out of it when you're in person. Would you not say that?
Absolutely. And then you can talk to the people afterwards that are presenting. You can present them with your specific problems, and you won't find a more helpful group of people than an SBE Ennes. I can almost guarantee you anybody you talk to, they'll be willing to help you. You can exchange business cards. It's really, in this industry, it's not, you can't know everything. It's not how much you know, it's who you know.
Right.
And it's also not how much you know, but you know where to find the information. And often those are personal relationships, and you can build those with coming in person.
Yeah, excellent. And you mentioned at the end of each block, you do a Q&A portion with all the presenters, which
right.
kind of gives some cross-pollination sometimes too,
Exactly.
I've seen.
That's the idea. We just started that as an experiment like 3 years ago, and we found it really goes over well. It gives people a chance to leave if they have to do personal business, but people that are really interested, they get to ask their own personal questions from their facilities, and often you'll have 3 different experts, and you'll get different answers from different people. So whoever is most qualified will answer. And that's why we try to keep the subjects blocked together. And again, that's worked out really well for us.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So is there anything we haven't covered yet that you feel is important to mention at this point?
Well, as I said, we're going more for business. We're going more for the latest tech, obviously, and kind of interweaving it all together to make a really useful workshop. If you check the schedule, you'll see we're going to do a session about engineers that have gone on to create their own businesses too at the end. So that's going to be.
I did see that.
Yeah, people that have started businesses for integration and radio stations. So that should be a nice twist. And we're going to be talking a little bit about education and certification too throughout. And I really recommend SBE certification because it shows you better how to find information. That's basically what certification's about.
Yeah.
Do you have the paths to find what you want? Because there's so much going on now in media. It's not simple anymore. You really just have to know where to find your information.
Yeah, that's kind of been one of the background focuses of SBE certification. It's not that we expect you to know everything in the world, but you should be able to at least know how to find the answer when you need it. Whether it's on your own or consulting with others or teaching yourself sometimes to get the job accomplished in the end. That's great.
And so many techs now. I mean, I'm an RF guy, so I know a lot about RF, but I have to deal with everything, and I can't know it all. So there are a lot more jobs in the industry now, but the industry, I guess you could say, it's getting wide and thin, flattening out, where a tech can't know everything, but they have to know where to find the information.
Sure.
And really, there are more jobs, and if you think about the different parts of our industry, like you have boardrooms, you have streaming. There are more people doing this than there ever have been. So we want to invite people that have never considered SBE. Everything we do here pertains to what these people are doing, except the transmitter part.
Right.
So we need to get the word out that people that are doing, say, churches, houses of worship, stadiums, concerts, everything we do pertains to what they're doing, and is exactly the same.
Sure.
Minus a transmitter.
Yeah, corporate video as well. Sure, just another.
Yeah,
just
and
a lot of outlets. It's all the same technology underneath it all.
Yeah, the only difference is in a concert hall or a house of worship, you have to know about acoustics.
Right.
And other than that, behind the scenes, it's exactly the same as a TV or radio station.
Yeah, take away a transmitter and the FCC rules, and it's all the same stuff. Yep.
Right. Exactly. And
well, great.
Check out the website, what we're covering. And again, if you have any ideas or if you want to present, please contact us.
Okay.
We'll try to get you into next year. And again, we're just trying to make it as friendly and interesting to as many people as we can. And thanks for listening.
Great. Thanks again, Fred. If you're going to the 2026 NAB show, add the SBE Ennes Workshop to your convention plan. Get all the info at SBE.org. Register for the SBE Ennes Workshops at the NAB Show website, nabshow.com. And again, thanks for watching the SBE WEBxtra, the SBE chapter of the web from the Society of Broadcast Engineers, the Association for Broadcast and Multimedia Technology Professionals. Thanks again to Gary, Jeff, and Fred for joining me today. If you hold SBE certification, viewing the SBE WEBxtra qualifies you for 1/2 point in Category G, that's attendance. It's just like attending a local chapter meeting. If you have an idea for a topic or a guest for the SBE WEBxtra, send it to webextra@sbe.org. Thanks again for watching. I'm Chris Scherer, SBE Communications Director, and I'll see you next month.